Okay, so I've had so many of you asking me about attorney run and owned and operated credit repair companies and which ones I recommend. And I have two of them that I recommend, which might surprise you. No, it's not Lexington Law. I don't recommend them at all. But in this video, I'm going to share with you the two firms that I highly recommend to have attorneys fix your credit for you in case you're too lazy to do it yourself, too busy to do it yourself, or think that you don't have enough know-how to do it yourself, because maybe you're just afraid that you're going to make a huge mistake that you can't reverse. So in this video, I'm going to share with you what these two law firms are. So let's get into it. Okay, so I want to cover something really quick because I have a lot of you in the comment section asking me about the quick and dirty on how to do it yourself, because I'm going to warn you in advance. These two law firms, and in fact any law firm that's going to claim to clean up your credit, they're not going to use offline letter systems that I talk about. So if you know anything about my YouTube channel, I'm a huge believer that if you mail in letters to the credit reporting bureaus, which is Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, you will get much more stuff removed off your credit or favorably updated or more positively updated on your credit than when you try to do the online disputing system. Because my biggest argument with the online disputing system is that it's essentially one computer talking to another. They shoot codes back and forth between each other. So, you're doing your online dispute, and it's sending this, multi-digit code over to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion based on what you're claiming that the dispute is about. Maybe you're saying that this is not my account, so there'll be a series of codes that go along with that. Then they'll shoot that off to Experian. Experian will have its computer system will automatically, instantly, like within mere seconds, shoot back another code that goes right back to you that basically says, oh yes, it is your account. And that's it, it's over, okay? Then it's updated, and that's the most devastating word in the credit language, if you will, is when it says updated, because it basically means case closed, you're screwed, it's going to stay in your credit probably forever, and just imagine that this is like Gorilla Glue stuck to your credit report for the 7 years or 10 years or whenever it's going to fall off. So it's the dreaded updated, which we don't want. So I don't like doing online disputing for that reason. So I'm going to warn you that these two credit law firms will do online disputing. Now, they know a little bit better of a way to do it to get more stuff off. But I want to give you just a really quick crash course, because so many of you have seen a lot of my videos. You're like, Monica, you did so many videos about credit. I don't even know where to start. So if you can indulge me for just a second, because trust me, this is going to save you a lot of money, and it's going to probably allow you to increase your credit score faster than you ever thought imaginable if you just follow suit with what I have to say. Furthermore, in the description box, which is right below this video, I'm going to have a list. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to list everything in order, in precise order, including links to my other YouTube videos that you need to watch in relation to each step. And you might want to bookmark this credit video, so then that way when you're ready for each individual step, you'll be able to watch the next video for it. Okay, so first and foremost, you need to order all 3 credit reports, including, and I highly recommend, your FICO scores, because your FICO scores are not included on your free annual credit reports from Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. You're not going to find your FICOs there. So instead of just going to annualcreditreport.com and getting your 3 credit reports, or writing into them once a year to get your free credit report, that I do recommend that you go to Experian.com. I will put the link down below in the description box under item number 1, order your credit reports. And I recommend that you buy all 3 at one time. It's a one-time fee, not a monthly fee, one-time fee of $39.99. You get all 3 credit reports, all 3 FICO scores, and then you have a starting point. Folks, you need a starting point. It's like, how do you even know what to fix if you don't even know what's on your credit to begin with? And the cool thing is, I really like the layout of the Experian.com template, because right away, right off the bat, it'll have your personal information, and then immediately it'll show any potential negative or adverse accounts, and you target those first. So first and foremost, you need that credit report. Ideally, you'll print it out, and then you can mark it up with some highlighter markers as well as some tabs, and then highlight the things that you need to have removed. Also go through your personal information. A lot of times when people send in a letter A separate letter, this is a separate letter that you'll send to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion to update any outdated, old, or misinformation on your personal credit reports from your name, the spelling of your name, your personal, physical address, your social security numbers. Maybe they have a bunch of social security numbers that they claim you've used or tried to apply for credit under that you never did. So get rid of all that stuff, because believe it or not, wiping out all that old stuff, old phone numbers, all of that stuff that just never applied to you. Or ladies, if you've been married for more than 10 years and you changed your name, 10 years ago, and you're still showing your maiden name or some other name on there, get rid of that too, because just merely updating old information, again, with a separate letter that goes to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion saying, hey, here's what your credit report's showing. Here's my actual accurate information, and here's a list of all the stuff you need to remove that does not apply to me, never applied to me, or is beyond the statute of limitations of 10 years. And believe it or not, that could actually increase your credit score in and of itself by just simply cleaning that stuff up. And so that's your first step, is just to take a look at what old information that does not apply to you, and then send in a separate letter. You could always go to my website, getdisputeLetters.com or secretcreditletters.com, down below in the description box. And you can get a letter that will actually have all of the information you need to fill in the blanks to be able to send those letters off to each of the credit reporting bureaus. So that's your first and foremost thing that you need to do. And then, of course, go through all of the closed accounts. So we want to dispute the closed accounts first. So now in a new letter, you need to have all of the list of closed accounts that you want to dispute. So again, you can go to getdisputeLetters.com or secretcreditletters.com, down below in the description box, and find the letter for Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Just fill in the blanks on your own stuff. Or even better, I just did a video on how you can have AI do it for you, and I will link it up in the description box, the video you should watch to prepare these letters. And then even better, use the tutorial that I talk about in the video to convert the letters from just a regular plain font, like an Arial font, for example, and change it into something called a handwriting font that you can get for free at 1001fonts.com. And you could change it, because here's what a lot of people don't understand with offline disputing. And that is, when you send a letter in and it looks like it's handwritten, whether or not they believe it's really handwritten or not is neither here nor there. That's not even the point. The point is, if the machines can't read it, because some, poor sap has to open up all the letters and start feeding them in the machine. And what we want is a handwriting font that looks legible enough where a human being can read it, but isn't legible enough for a machine to read it. And the reason we want that is because we don't want the automated system to pick up the dispute. We want a human being to start typing in there, because they already hate their jobs. They're already overworked, underpaid. This is why I do my holiday stuff a lot. Like I really do push doing as many disputes as you possibly can, starting in November and working your way through the first week of the year, because they're also understaffed at that time. So if you use this method definitely during that period, which I wouldn't say wait to do your disputes then, but definitely do your disputes then too. You want to do 2 or 3 rounds of disputes during the holiday season as well, because then you have angry people who are overworked, underpaid, now understaffed because it's the holidays. You have the senior people that have been there for a while, they get their vacation. And then the newbies that just started, they get to work behind, they have to sit there and type and do all these different things with the disputes. And then they're mad because they're stuck there during the holidays while their, older cohorts are gone for the holidays, right? So that's the best time usually to start your dispute process. But I wouldn't say wait till then. I'm just saying you're going to definitely be disputing then. And that's why, because when you have something that looks like it's handwritten, that the machine cannot identify, then a human being has to go in there, and they're usually so pissed off or angry that they just start deleting a bunch of different things, okay? If you think that that sounds ridiculous, it's not. It's not ridiculous. This is a tried, true, blue, tested, and proven strategy that's works over and over again. And again, let me warn you, when you go with a credit repair attorney, they're not going to do any of this for you. So that's why below, in the description box below this video, you're going to find the steps that you need. So then that way, if you do feel like you have enough confidence to do it on your own, then do it on your own. Or at least get it as far as you possibly can before you pick up an attorney and pay that attorney every single month to do this for you, okay? So again, let's go back. Number 1, get your credit reports, okay? Number two, obviously you're going to go through your credit reports and at least in the very least do letters to update old information. Send a letter to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. First and foremost, out of the gates, that's what you're doing, okay? Now, number three, before even you start the dispute process, I recommend that you watch this one particular video that I talk about where you can freeze the Credit Reporting Bureau profiles. Now, there's not just 3 credit reporting profiles. You think of Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, that's 3. There's actually 8, okay? And you're going to go through all 8. Now, some of them will not allow you to freeze them. You have to do something called an opt-out, okay? So don't get all freaky-deaky on me and say, oh no, Monica, you know, this one's not allowing me to freeze it. They don't even call it a freeze. It's like, okay, well then that one's called an opt-out, okay? So some of them call it an opt-out, some of them call it a freeze. Just know that, you know, if they don't identify freeze, it just simply means you got to call it something else, which is opting out of their system, okay? So I have a video link down below that's going to show you that video that you can watch that will bring you over to how to freeze those credit profiles, okay? We want to freeze those. And then now we're going to move on to our first set of disputes. Now, I'm going to link up the video below on how to create that first set of disputes using the AI system, ChatGPT. And then you can have ChatGPT create the letters for you. I show you in a demonstration how easy it is. It's freaking easy, okay? It takes like less than 5 minutes for a letter. And if you're going to get, oh, you know, first of all, let me give you a news flash on something. If you do type your social security number and date of birth into the ChatGPT system, and you have bad credit now, what do you think ChatGPT is going to do with your social security number? I mean, there's nothing. ChatGPT is not in the position of going out there and running up your credit. That's not what the system's for. But when you freeze your credit anyway, they can't even do that. Nobody can, okay? That's the whole point of freezing your credit, is so nobody can just willy-nilly decide to just go, you know, buy a car at a car dealership under your name. But I'm assuming that you're not credit worthy enough for that anyway, okay? But I have a couple of you that are all paranoid and just typing in the comments, oh no, I don't want ChatGPT to have my social security number. Okay, fine, that's great. So then here's what you do. You can copy and paste every single credit account. Say there's 5 credit accounts that are adversely, negatively impacting you, and they're all closed accounts. We want to focus on closed accounts first. There's 5 of them, say. So copy and paste from, you know, the reports that you're getting online from Experian.com, those 3 reports, and you copy and paste that into the ChatGPT prompt box the way I share with you in the video. And then ChatGPT will create the letters for you. Yes, you can leave off your date of birth and social security number if you're that panicked and freaked out about the possibility that ChatGPT is going to steal your information and then go get a Bank of America credit card and run it up on, you know, robot supplies. But if you're that paranoid, or that it's going to share all this information, even though, like I said, you froze your credit profile so nobody can do anything anyway. But if you're that paranoid, just go ahead and just do the letter, and it'll give you brackets that say social security number here, and then it'll give you another bracket, date of birth here, okay? And by the way, if you're fooling yourself into believing that there are not databases mined of your personal information that are sitting in clouds everywhere, including one that the government has created for you, then you're living in a delusional reality, okay? The government and everybody else knows all this stuff about you, okay? I just did a video about the ghost profile. You know, it's basically this hidden secret credit report. It's called a consumer file against you that you don't even know about, okay, through LexisNexis. It's called a full disclosure report. And they know all kinds of stuff about you, things that you probably don't want anybody to know. They know, and it's stuff that goes way back to the beginning of time. I even had somebody in the credit or in the comment section say that they still had some kind of, I think it was some kind of piece of criminal history when he was a minor. They still have that on his full disclosure report, even though that was longer than 10 years ago. They have everything on you. They have bankruptcies that are 20 years old. It's called a historic credit pull. I think that's what they would call it. That's what the credit companies would call it. But it's really a full disclosure consumer file that they have against you. So if you think by some deluded alternative universe that nobody has your social security number out there, nobody knows who you are, what your date of birth is, keep thinking that. And then, you know, when you're shocked one day to realize that that's not the reality, well then hopefully that's the day you wake up. But again, I understand if you feel paranoid that you don't want ChatGPT to have your information, that's fine. Don't put it in there, and just basically copy and paste everything ChatGPT puts down. paste it into a Microsoft Word document. Use the 1001 fonts like I illustrate and demonstrate in that video. Again, I will link up everything and all the steps that you need to do down below. Then you will mail off each one of these letters that can have, yes, it can have a multitude of different disputes in every single one of the letters. So again, if you have 5 accounts that you're disputing with Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, you can include all 5 of those accounts in one letter to each one of the bureaus. It's just you do need to send out a letter to each one of the bureaus. So you send out a letter to each bureau, send it by way of trackable mail. Does not have to be certified. I don't recommend you waste your money and your time on certified. That's what the little green card, we're not doing that. It's just trackable to make sure you know the date that they receive it, because that's when the ticker of the clock starts for 30 days, okay? And then you wait 30 days, and then you see what falls off, all right? So then, if things do not fall off, or not all of the 5 accounts fell off, then you will go into the method of verification, the MOV letter, which again is also located on my website at getdisputeletters.com or secretcreditletters.com, down below in the description box. It is called a method of verification letter because by law, upon your request, they have to provide proof that they actually did an investigation. Most people will never ever know about the method of verification letter. And the cool thing is, I created the letter for you. And it has all the legally cited case law, everything that you need to know, that they need to know, that you know, so then that way they know that you're serious about a potential possible lawsuit in the near future for damaging your credit for no reason because they really did not do an investigation, because 9 times out of 10 they didn't actually do the investigation as required by federal law. They just say to themselves, oh, this is just somebody who just read some credit repair book last weekend, decided to do all these letters. He or she doesn't know the law. So we're just going to wait the 30 days like we're supposed to. And what we're going to do is just send them a letter saying everything's been updated. And then they'll just go away. That's what these credit reporting bureaus are thinking in their brain. Okay? You need to prove them otherwise just by saying, well, since you said that you did an investigation, now you have to prove that you did. So here's the law. Here's the cited law and the statute in case you forgot. Okay? So that's when you're going to notice that some things are going to start falling off your credit because they didn't do a method of verification. By the way, anytime that you're communicating with the credit reporting bureaus, always include a copy of your current driver's license. Somebody in the comments said, what about an expired one? No, not an expired one. Come on, take your lazy ass over to the DMV. Either renew your driver's license, or if you don't drive anymore, go get a state ID card. Hello? You could also use a copy of your passport as long as it's valid, or your passport card, okay? And you send that in with 2 utility bills showing your name and your current physical address. Or if you live with somebody who pays all the bills, then some second possibilities is maybe an insurance bill for your car, maybe a credit card statement. I don't like using credit card statements in case one day that's your credit card that you want to dispute. You don't want to actually use that. So I like an insurance bill, bank statement. Just make sure that you get the bank account information off there. Just scribble it out with a Sharpie. And then you could also use, other things. Somebody had asked about a voter registration card. You could also potentially send that in as well, as long as it has your current information on there, your name and your current address. You could also include your current lease information. So whatever else you have that shows your name and your current address is what you can provide, okay? Now, if it's a utility bill, you want it to be within the last, say, 45 to 60 days maximum, just to show that you actually live at that address. So that's what you always want to do, is always have that, because what ends up happening, especially with the first round of disputes, the credit reporting bureaus like to buy themselves an extra 30 days, and here's how they do it. They have a nice little form letter that they automatically send out to people saying, we don't believe that this is really you, especially if you moved in the last 2 years. So you have to show that this is you. You have to show proof of your person, that you're a real person, that this is really you. And that's how they buy themselves extra time, and that's how they just kick the can down the road. So you just nip that in the bud. You basically include those 3 items. Again, ID, valid ID, 2 utility bills, along with your dispute letters to Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. You mail those out trackable mail. You wait 30 days, and then you do the next step, which, like I said, after give it about 35 days from the date that they received it. The things that did not fall off or update favorably and positively for you, you will then, this is the next step, is ask for the method of verification, which again by law they have to provide. Now at the same time, now I know a lot of people they start to get, okay, there's too many things going on. I'm in the process of creating a flow chart because I know a couple of you asked about a flow chart, thought that that would be cool. So I'd like to create a fun little flow chart. I know people criticize my flow chart sometimes because I create flow charts that are very whimsical, somewhat juvenile looking, but I like them because I notice even adults like things that are fun, kind of cartoonish, and kind of attract the eye. So that's the way I do my flow charts. If you don't like it and if it's not adult enough for you, then well, throw it away. You don't have to have my flow chart. But in the next few weeks, I'd like to get the flow chart out to you, and I will offer it on my getdisputeletters.com or secretcreditletters.com website, and I will also send out an email to those of you that are already part of that website. You will get the flow chart when it's available, so then that way you know how to do all this stuff, and it'll give you the confidence to do it all. So during the time that you're doing the method of verification, I do recommend that you do an envelope to the creditors. Now let me be clear about this because a lot of you don't know, but unless you're actually inquiring with a creditor about an open account or a specific dollar amount that they're claiming that you owe. And by the way, whenever you're communicating with them, it's always alleged debt. You never admit to the debt. You say it's the alleged debt. You always specify that. And I do have a letter that clearly states that in my Get Dispute Letters or secretcreditletters.com websites, and it talks about how they need to provide proof. Now let me talk to you about the beauty of collection agencies. Because collection agencies usually buy your debt for 6 to 10 cents on the dollar, meaning that if it's a $10,000 debt, they bought that debt for about $600 to $1,000. And the thing about credit collection agencies that you don't know is that they have an explicit agreement with the original creditor that says that they're not allowed to ask the original creditor for any corroborating information or additional information about the debt. Most people don't know that. So whenever you send a dispute off to a collection agency asking for proof of the debt, they're actually technically legally not even allowed to communicate with the originating debtor about the debt to begin with. Furthermore, even if they were by some miracle able to do that, or they had some really good relationship with the original creditor, they're not going to get anything in 30 days. They're just not. They're not going to get an original contract. They're not going to get an original agreement with your signature on it. They're not going to get any proof of the debt from the credit collection agency. They're not going to get any of that stuff within 30 days. So what typically ends up happening is whenever you send any kind of asking for proof from a creditor, they're not going to be able to provide it, or they're going to give you a statement. Well, let me tell you about what a statement is. I can literally walk over to my desk over there and I can print out, if I would like, a statement from my QuickBooks system that basically says that you owe me $100,000. I can do that right now within the next 5 minutes. So when somebody sends you a statement, that does not mean that that's a legal agreement. That does not mean that you had a legal agreement with them. That does not mean that you owe them the money. Okay? Furthermore, if you think about it, you don't actually have a legal agreement with that collection agency, because that collection agency, like people have argued with me. I did a video on collection agencies and people argue with me in the comments. Well, you know, the fine print at the bottom of the credit card agreement says that, you know, they could transfer the debt to somebody else, or, you know, mortgage companies do that a lot as well. Well, they'll transfer the debt to somebody else and it's in the fine print. But the behind the scenes part that people don't know is that that's if they're hiring them as a collection agency to collect on their behalf. It's not the part about them selling the debt. And most of the time, especially when it's a charged off debt, it's a sold debt, which means that it doesn't comply with the same rules and regulations that you originally agreed to when you signed that contract or that loan agreement with that creditor. So how do you know if it's a sold debt versus a hired person to collect the debt for them? Well, if it's an old debt and it's something that they've basically charged off, then you're guaranteed that it's a sold debt. They just sold it for 6 to 10 cents on the dollar, which means now they are completely broken from the original contract. They have nothing to do with the fine print that you would have signed back in the day. Who knows how long ago that was. So they are now their own one-man band trying to collect from you on a debt that they paid for 6 to 10 cents on the dollar. And so they, and on top of that, legally cannot communicate with their original creditor about any contracts, etc. Furthermore, think about this. the original creditor doesn't want to help the collection agency collect on the debt because they sold that debt to the collection agency for 6 to 10 cents on the dollar. Why would they want to help them get the money when they basically took a loss on it? You know what I mean? It's almost like you selling a used car. Say it's a really nice, possible, historic car, but you just don't have the time, effort, energy, money to put into it. So it's a classic car. Maybe it's a 57 Chevy, but you sell it for $600 because you're just like, I need to get it out of my garage. I don't have the resources to fix this. I don't have the know-how to fix this. I'm just going to sell it. But then the guy you sold it to is constantly calling you on the phone. Hey, who do you recommend for me to get really good parts? And hey, can you come over here and help me fix this? And hey, can you do this? And picking you up the phone and calling you all the time about this car. It's like, why would you want to help him fix this 57 Chevy that you sold him for $600 so that he can create, a cherry car that he could sell to somebody else for $60,000? I mean, the answer is you're not going to help him do anything. You got the car. You bought it. It's yours. Good luck, get the hell out of my life. That's basically how that's going to work. The same thing goes with creditors and collection agencies. When a creditor sells a debt, they have an agreement with the collection agency that says, we're not going to help you. You can't come back to us to ask for any information, and we don't have under any obligation legally or otherwise, we're not going to be helping you collect on this debt. That's your problem. So don't you dare ask us for a damn thing. We're not going to give it to you. So they can't even ask the original creditor for the original contract or the original agreement, which means that puts you in a really good place, okay? So that's why I just love targeting collection agencies first. So older debts are always better to get off. Now, I always have people that ask me about open revolving accounts and late pays and all that stuff. That should go last, okay? Dispute all that stuff last, like in your third or fourth round of disputes. Don't do it in your first round of disputes. Focus on the older debt. Focus on definitely the credit collection agency debt. Focus on the stuff that you know that you could probably get off, and then focus on the open revolving accounts, inquiries, that kind of stuff later on, okay? So again, I will have all the steps down below in the description box to give you the nitty-gritty on exactly what you're supposed to do, because it's just basically wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat of those steps that I just described, where you're going to wait 30 to 35 days, send out a method of verification, and then you're going to one time and one time only, you're going to send a letter to the creditor or collection agency in an envelope. This time it's going to go certified mail. I'm going to link up the video that you need to watch for that as well. And then you're going to also wait 30 days after they sign for the green certified, the certified letter. Now, please don't argue with me saying, my post office never gives me the green cards. I never get them. Okay, then do signature confirmation instead. Come on, people. It's like, sometimes you got to think some of this stuff through yourself. You just can't shut the door on all your possibilities all the time. I don't know about you, but out of the hundreds I've sent of these different certified letters over the years, I think maybe one I didn't get back. But maybe I just had a better post office or whatever. I don't know what's going on with your post office. So in that case, just get a signature confirmation, right? So that's what you should do instead. But you want to make sure that you get proof that they received it. So you could either do the empty envelope, which I'll link down below in the steps below this video, or you can actually send them a letter, which is located at getdisputeletters.com or secretcreditletters.com. You can do one or the other. If you don't feel that it's appropriate for you to send an empty envelope, then by all means go ahead and send them a letter. But when you do get something back from them, which again is going to be a statement, if you do in fact send them a letter and not an empty envelope, then you're going to have to basically throw it away. And why I say that is because remember what I just said about credit collection agencies. Is in particular, they're not going to have any proof of the original debt. They're not going to have an original contract. They're not going to have an original agreement. They're just going to have a statement. That doesn't count. That does not float it as per federal law. So federal law says that they actually have to provide proof that the account exists, that it's a valid account. Is a statement proof of a valid account? The answer is no. So then your response then back to the credit reporting bureaus, you're going to say, here's the letter I sent to ABC Collection Agency. Here's the certified green card showing proof that they received it. Front and back, you're going to take photocopies. And they did not respond in 30 days as per federal law with proof that this is my account. You don't say, I mean, like I said, if you want to make sure that you you do this completely compliant because you're one of these, Pollyanna goody two-shoes, then what you can do is you can just basically say, I did not get the adequate information as per federal law, or I didn't get the proof of the account, because again, a statement is not proof. Don't be one of these idiots that explains, yes, I did receive something, however it's not, because what's going to end up happening is the person who opens the envelope and works on your credit, all they're going to see is the first line that says, yes, you received something, and then they're going to basically abolish all of the work that you've done to this point. You don't want that to happen, okay? So what you want to do is basically send that proof that you did not receive anything from the collection agency or whatever creditor that you sent it to. And you're going to send that green card, like a copy of the green card, to Experian, Equifax, TransUnion along with that letter. Okay? And then you're going to wait. 30 days has to go by. All right? And so what happens after the 30 days? Then we have to go back into, again, wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. Stuff will end up falling off your credit. The next thing you need to do is start filing complaints with the different attorney general organizations, or I should say, I don't want to say organizations, but somebody criticized me in the comment section. I don't even know why this stuff bothers me, but sometimes it does, because I'm like, what else would you call it then? So when you're talking about multiple attorney generals over the course of, say, 3 states, would you say attorney generals, plural? The answer is, I think, yes. But he was criticizing me, saying that's incorrect. It's just attorney general. Well, how do you describe 3 attorney generals in one sentence? You're talking about 3 attorney generals in one sentence. How do you do that? Well, I think attorney generals, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe attorneys general? I don't know. So you would file a complaint with the attorney general in the state of Texas against Experian, the Attorney General in the state of Pennsylvania against TransUnion, and the Attorney General in the state of Georgia against Equifax, because that's where they're located. So they get all these different complaints now going. Also file Better Business Bureau online complaints in those different regions that I just described. And then you're also going to file complaints in the states in which your creditors that show up on your credit reports, because by law the creditors have to show their complete address on your credit reports, and you're going to go also file with those attorney generals in those respective states against those creditors. So what's ended up happening now is that they're getting all of these different complaints. You should also file a complaint at consumerfinance.gov. That is supposed to be the Consumer Protection Bureau. It's pretty much been stripped during this administration, but there are a few people, I guess, left working there, which probably won't last long. But the reason we want to file with this particular organization is because some of the Attorney General websites will ask you whether or not you actually did file a complaint with them, in which case you want to say yes, because you want to show that you're trying everything you can in due process to get this thing resolved. But you also want the credit reporting bureaus and the creditors to get this flurry, this massive avalanche of paperwork and complaints. So then that way they know that you're serious and you're probably on the verge of suing them, okay? So you'll be doing that. And again, all the steps are going to be down below. And then finally, you might actually have to sue them. And then this is the part where I recommend that you do find an attorney to do it. And it's not going to be the attorneys in this video. There's another video I did on YouTube that talks about attorneys who specifically file creditors and collection or credit bureaus. And you should use one of those attorneys that I recommend. And I will link up the video down below in the description box for the last step, okay? So you've done all of that, you have all the stuff going. Now, a lot of you don't realize, but just doing that little bit of stuff even on your own, you will get a lot of stuff. Like, some people think that this is an all or nothing thing. Like, they'll sit there in the comments and they'll go, Monica, it didn't work because out of the 10 accounts that I disputed, only 7 fell off and there's 3 left. I'm a failure and it didn't work. Really? You disputed 10 accounts and 7 of them fell off doing all of this stuff over the last 90 days, and you're saying that you're a failure? This is not an all or nothing thing. Can you imagine how much your credit report improved and your FICO score increased just by getting rid of 7 accounts that just didn't belong there, or that's weighing you down? So just don't think that this is an all or nothing thing. If you have a bankruptcy and you're thinking, oh, Monica, the bankruptcy has to fall off after 10 years and otherwise I'm just toast for 10 years. No, you're not. When I had my bankruptcy, I literally had to wait, and I waited and waited and waited for the 10 years thinking that there was some miraculous thing that was going to happen for my credit. Like, there was going to be some like clouds parting and, fairy dust and stuff flying everywhere. And my credit was just going to, explode with FICO score points. And because I had been working on my credit for so long, including repairing what I could and mostly rebuilding, because after a bankruptcy, all your debt is pretty much wiped out anyway, depending on the type of bankruptcy you filed. So it's just a matter of just rebuilding, getting new credit cards, paying everything on time, being very meticulous with that. And so that's all I did. So by the time my bankruptcy fell off, my FICO was so high. Guess how many points that bankruptcy that finally fell off after 10 years, what it finally did for me? It gave me 50 points. Okay? And on one credit report, it only gave me, I think, 25 points. And I think another one, it gave me something like 30-something points. So the lowest amount of points I got for the bankruptcy falling off was like 20-something points. And I was actually disappointed because I felt like that was going to be the day that my life was going to change when this bankruptcy fell off, and it didn't work out that way at all. So if you have this bankruptcy and you're thinking that that's holding you back, it's not. It's not as bad as you think it is. Again, same goes for foreclosures and anything else that you think is really huge, like a judgment. Just focus on what you can do and focus on rebuilding your credit by getting credit cards that can help you, like even low balance credit cards, to start rebuilding, okay? Because I also have a lot of people in the comments that are like, oh, for the last 20 years I haven't used credit. I paid cash for everything. Okay, well, how are you going to rent an apartment? How are you going to buy a house? How are you going to buy a new car? How are you going to do anything in society? The 70s are long gone, came and went a long time ago, and I think that was probably the last era, maybe the 80s, where you could probably get away with just paying cash for everything. Nowadays, everything's very much linked with credit, and moving forward, it's just going to get worse. So you could either play the game or go live in a tent in Cambodia off the grid. Those are basically your only two choices, okay? Because I have so many people who are like, well, I won't get in trouble if I don't use credit. Really? Well, then go somewhere else then and live off the grid. But I can tell you, when you live off the grid, you won't even have internet connection to even watch YouTube videos anymore because you'll be off the grid. And I don't really think that that's the life you want to live. So I would say play the game, learn how to, use the game to your benefit, and be able to not only excel in the game, but also be on top of the game to ultimately then get business credit, which we're going to start talking a lot about on this channel, so that you can start building wealth for yourself. Because let's face it, most people who fail in business are undercapitalized. They don't have access to enough money to continue moving forward with their business. So I'm going to share with you how you can get money to launch your business, how you can get rolling with your business, and how you can start building wealth for yourself and your family, whether it's with a business, whether it's with real estate investing, whatever you want to do. You'll have options when you have money, okay? So that's why we're doing all this personal credit stuff. It doesn't just stop with an 850 FICO. We move forward and we go into getting business credit and starting to build wealth for you. So now that I gave you a crash course, which was way beyond what I was going to do, I'm going to now share with you the two law firms in case after everything I just talked about, you're like, Monica, shut up already. I want to know what these two law firms are that you're recommending, because I don't care that they do online disputing. I'll take a risk. I'm willing to use these companies because I still don't feel like I have the time, or I'm just lazy, or I just feel like I don't want to screw anything up. So if that's what you're waiting for, then you're in good luck. You're in good hands, because I'm about to share with you these two law firms. All right? So number one, let's talk about number one. So number one is the Credit People. And if you haven't heard of the Credit People, you can go to their website. I will link it up down below. It's basically thecreditpeople.com. And they will charge you a fee of about $99 a month, which you could pay as you go. But here's the problem with most of you. Most of you will start doing a credit repair service, and after 1 month you'll drop out, thinking that you were supposed to get, a 300 increased FICO score within 30 days, and you don't understand that this is a process, okay? So nobody's ripping you off. This stuff does take time, and if you're not willing to go into it with an all or nothing attitude, like I will stay in this until I get my credit fixed, then don't do it at all. Okay, don't hire somebody just because you pay $99 and you think your entire credit file is supposed to be fixed in 2 weeks, and you notice it hasn't been fixed in 2 weeks, and you think that it's a scam. You stay in it at least for 6 months if you think that this is something you want to do. You want to use an outside attorney run company to do it. And so check it out here. You can use the $119 a month, which is more of a premium service, but this is what I recommend. I recommend that you go with the premium flat rate. So you pay $599 for 6 months. I know it seems like a lot, But it's well worth it. And here's why. Because you have to just pay the money and you just wait till they fix your credit and you just sit there idly for 6 months. And it costs $600, yes. But they'll get as much as they possibly can off, especially if you have a low FICO and you have a lot of charge-offs, judgments. If you have anything over, like, say, 5 or 6 accounts that need to be cleared off completely, then I would definitely do the $599 service. That's what I would do for the 6 months. That's what I recommend for you, okay? Now here's an alternative service for you. An alternative is called Credit Saint. And what I recommend you do with Credit Saint, and they run between like $79, so you could pay between $79 and $99 per month. That's their lower level. But both of these, by the way, I should mention, if you want to call for a consultation, you can. Their information on where to call is on their website. And you can get started right away. So with Credit Saint, you can get started immediately. Both of these companies offer a guarantee. So you can go to their website and check out the guarantee to find out, what their guarantee is, what they guarantee that they do, what they won't do, and they'll outline all of these different things on their websites. But those are the two companies that I recommend, is the Credit People and Credit Saint. I will have both of their information at the very bottom of the description area. So go all the way to the bottom of the description area. You will be able to find their websites down there. And you will also be able to find out what the two differences are. And if you're not sure, here's what I recommend that you do. I recommend you call them both on the phone. They both offer a toll-free number. And you start to talk to them on the phone. They will offer you some insights over the phone. You just describe your I guess, what's going on with your credit. And once you describe everything and what you need help with, they can give you more of a tailor-made plan and some recommendations on what to do. Now, if you know that your credit's trashed, and you know that you're probably going to have to pay the $599 to get it fixed and just wait 6 months, then that's what I would do. If personally I knew that my credit was a disaster and I knew that I was going to need a lot of work and I wasn't sure how much time I was going to have to put into it, and I don't want to think in terms of what I got to do and how much time it's going to take, I would just pay the $599, wait the 6 months, and that would be with the Credit People. And that's personally what I would do. But if you're not sure, or you maybe have just one thing on there, or maybe you just have like a judgment or a charge off or something that's just ridiculous to get off, then you might want to call them on the phone. Call both of them to see what kind of vibe you get from both of them, because one you might gel with more than the other. Or one might sound like it's more, more tailor-made to what you're looking for, and the other, might not understand what you're trying to do. And so just go with the one your gut tells you to go with, because that's usually going to be right. So I would recommend that you call both of them if you have kind of an interesting or strange credit request that maybe not everybody can understand or help you with, and just see, who responds to you faster and better and gives you the answers that you're looking for. So that's what I would recommend that you do. If you're not sure, just call both of them and then make your choice from there. But, for those of you that don't want to go through the work, I understand. I mean, I'm not trying to say that everybody's lazy. I know some of you are. You'd rather watch Netflix than fix your credit. And if that's the case, shame on you. But if you're truly busy, like maybe you're a single mom, or you're just work 2 jobs, or you don't have a computer, or you're watching this on an iPad or your phone, and you just can't print out letters, or you just don't feel like you can figure it all out. I get it. I totally get it. But I am warning you, they do online disputing. So it's either Credit Saint or the Credit People. And if you know that your credit's a mess, just go with the Credit People, pay the $599 for 6 months. If your credit's a super mess, just know at the end of 6 months you're probably going to have to renew for another 6 months, provided that they're doing a good job. And you just keep going with it until your stuff's fixed. But in the meantime, though, while your credit's being fixed, folks, be very clear about this. You need to start rebuilding credit. Okay? Now maybe your credit's too much of a mess, and maybe your FICO's too low for you to get a starter, fresh start credit card, like Destiny or Milestone or Indigo, or one of those, second chance credit cards that are out there, Total Visa. There's like several out there that you can use to get a second chance, start over. But you're going to have to start rebuilding credit at the same time, because you can't just wipe out all your accounts and then have no new accounts to start building your FICO score. So if you know that your FICO score is too low to get a second chance credit card, then just wait until some of that stuff falls off. And then you can start to apply for some second chance credit cards. But if you know that your FICO's a little bit higher, and you could probably get some second chance credit cards, then do that at the same time as having this credit repair, one of these two credit repair companies fix your credit for you. Because that's the part that everybody always forgets is, you know, what about part two? Well, part two is rebuilding your credit at the same time. This is Monica Main signing off, and I will see you in the next video.